What's up everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood DoolieRay, and this is the Champedex, a series in which I pick a champion from this game, take a look at their abilities, teach you how to use them, and then give them ratings so that you can compare them to other characters that you may want to focus on ranking up in this game. Today's Champedex is going to focus on Mordo. In my personal experience with this character, I found him to be pretty underrated. I think people don't give him the credit he deserves for how good he actually is. When he first came out in the game, he was a terrifying defender. He had a bunch of new mechanics that we'd never seen before, and it freaked a lot of people out, and it shook the game up for a second, and then people figured out how to play against him, and he just sort of fell under that radar. People stopped paying attention to him, so I'm here to bring him back into the spotlight. Let's talk about Mordo. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I apologize for that. It takes a lot of time for me to put these together, so if you've forgotten how this works, let me explain. I have 10 different categories here on the screen, different aspects of a character that I find to be pretty important in this game, and I'm going to be rating everything here on a scale of 1 to 3, 1 being average and 3 being the best. Once I have a total score for the character, I'll compare them to other characters that I've rated so far in this game so that you can see where I personally would line this character up compared to other characters in the game, and hopefully just give you some advice on how to use different characters that you may not originally think of. So let's start things off here talking about Mordo's damage. There are several different ways to get damage out of Mordo. I would say that the best is probably through his heavy attack. As you hold down the heavy attack, you'll build up fury buffs up to a maximum of 10, and overall I believe you get just over 100% attack rating increased. Now that sounds really cool, really good, right? The only issue is, when you're using the heavy attack, you leave yourself vulnerable to being attacked yourself. Unless you're just the best player in the game, you can intercept with heavy attacks, which would be awesome, but since you're probably not, I'm not, I would say you probably want to go with the special 1 first. And the reason behind this being, you have a 30% chance to stun your opponent for 3 seconds when you throw that special 1. So if you get the stun when you throw the special 1, go ahead and just hold down that fury, and before they can come and attack you, let go of the fury. However many buffs you have, just work with that up to another special 1, and you can just kind of keep that in rotation. The special 1 also puts a degeneration debuff onto the opponent, which will just add up to even more damage over time. And beyond that, if the opponent has a buff on them, you can put the degeneration on even through their block. So even if they're blocking and you throw the special, if they have a buff, you'll put the degeneration onto them, so that's pretty cool. So that's a good rotation for getting some pretty good damage out of Mordo. You can also use the special attack 2 against opponents that are going to be gaining a lot of buffs. What the special attack 2 does is it puts this debuff on to the opponent called a Soul Barb, lasts for 14 seconds, and it deals energy damage depending on how many buffs they have on themselves. And then, after doing some testing for this video, I found that the best rotation if you're fighting somebody who has a lot of buffs with Mordo is probably to use that special 2. What you want to do is use that special 2, and then you can build up Furies after that, and the debuff that you put on the special 2, the Soul Barb, it deals damage based on how much attack you have. So when you build up Furies, you're giving yourself more attack, and it'll actually do more damage on the Soul Barb debuff that you already put onto the opponent. So if you do end up in that scenario, just keep an eye out for that, use the special 2, then get as many Furies as you can, and you'll just be dealing lots and lots of damage. Mordo has also got a passive ability where every 8 seconds he will gain a full bar of power over 5 seconds. So he gets a power gain buff, and you'll gain a bar of power, which can be very helpful. It's way more helpful than you would think. What you gotta watch out for though is if you get hit, you will lose that power gain buff, so you lose the power, plus you're getting hit, so probably my advice there would be don't get hit. And then you have a special 3, which you can throw to get 3 stacks of Fury that add up to 150% attack bonus. So the Furies that you'll be getting from the special 3 are actually far more powerful than the Furies that you stack up from your heavy, so if you want to go the special 3 route, you are getting that extra passive power gain, so over time maybe you'll be building up power faster, and throwing that special 3 might be more helpful to you than throwing that special 1 and throwing the heavy attack. It's all up to you how you want to play this character. I'm just here to tell you what you can do. And that about does it for Mordo's damage. It's pretty simple actually. You just build up those Fury buffs, either from the heavy attack, the special 3, and then you just work in a combination of throwing the special 2 or throwing the special 1, and overall you get some pretty good damage out of Mordo. Mordo gets a level 2 for his damage, and we move on to his sustainability, which he's got a few special little nifty gifties for you. First things first, Mordo has this passive ability that freaked a lot of people out when he first came into the game. Basically, whenever he is stunned, he'll evade the incoming attack and put a degeneration onto his opponent and be able to attack into them. So this is scary on defense and awesome on offense. Although, hopefully you won't have to use it too much on offense. If you're, playing good, you probably shouldn't get stunned, but if you do get stunned, you won't get punished for it. So that's a pretty neat ability that Mordo has there. If you're trying to get past that on defense, if you put a concussion or a fatigue debuff onto him, or you throw a special attack, he will not be able to evade you. So if you're trying to attack him on defense, or if you're on offense, just look out for those things. That's how you get past it. He's also got this special ability where if you hold his block for half a second, he can block unblockable special attacks. It's a little bit random, yeah, but this could be useful against a character like, say, Korg, who has come out and is able to go unblockable and unstoppable. So with Mordo's blocking, you can block unblockable special attacks from Korg, or other characters if they have unblockable special attacks. Just keep an eye out for that. You could use it. I believe in you. And finally, Mordo's got this passive ability where he just is immune to passive ability accuracy reduction effects. I'm not 100% sure what this means, but basically I think unless you have a concussion, fatigue, just any debuff, active debuff on you that reduces your ability accuracy, that is effective. But something like Black Widow's passive ability that just reduces ability accuracy, it seems that this should not work on Mordo. Mordo's also got some regeneration, which I was really surprised by when I got him as a character when he first came out, and for a long time I had no idea, but once I got the character and found this out, it's actually a pretty cool ability. How this works is on the Special 3, you have up to a 40% chance based on the health that you have. If you have low health, you have a higher chance, but basically, instead of getting a Fury stack on the Special 3 that you throw, you can get a regeneration buff instead. You can stack up these regeneration buffs as well. You can get up to a maximum of 3. The likelihood of this happening, not super high. But it is possible. I mean, it's RNG based, so you kind of just have to hope for the best. But if you're low on health, if you find yourself in a tricky situation, you can just go ahead, save your power up to a Special 3, throw it, and, cross your fingers, pray to the RNG gods, hope for some regeneration. It heals you up over 6 seconds for over 10% per regeneration buff, I believe. It's over 10%, I'm not sure what the exact number is, but it's not a small amount. It can be very helpful in a lot of situations, so Mordo is a level 2 sustainability character. And then we have power control, and when it comes to Mordo, there's not a lot to be said here. He's not got any abilities specifically focused on power control, so he is an average character, a level 1 power control character. We'll move on to his awakened ability, which is called Mystical Barrier, and what this does is it gives him a lot of energy resistance whenever you're blocking. This gets a level 1, because there's not a whole lot you can do with this. The only thing that really frustrates me about Mordo is his awakened ability. I think all of his other abilities are fantastic and extremely well designed. Unfortunately, the awakened ability is just such a letdown. So the good news is, he doesn't need to be awakened to be a good character. The bad news is, his awakened ability doesn't do anything, so if you ever dupe him, it's kind of a waste. Not entirely a waste, I mean, you get shards and whatever out of it, but does it really help you out? No, not that much. You do have energy resistance against energy attacks, but I don't know how helpful that would actually be. So he gets a level 1 there. We'll move on to his other utility, or his just overall utility, and I give him a rating of 2 for this category. He's got some really unique utility, I would say. Just everything that we've gone through before with his special attacks. His special 1 puts degen onto the opponent. His special 2 puts that soul bar onto the opponent. His special 3 gets those fury buffs and regen, and he dodges whenever he's stunned. This makes Mordo particularly well suited for, say, a Medusa fight, where, you may get auto-blocked, or you could get auto-blocked on purpose just so you get stunned, and then when she tries to attack into you, you just attack her right back. I tried that out on Iron Man Infinity War, and it did not go well, so I would not suggest doing that, because he does use projectiles instead of just a basic attack, and I guess Mordo does not evade those kinds of attacks. So watch out for Iron Man. He's not good for Iron Man, but for a character like Medusa, Mordo is awesome. I would say he's got some pretty interesting utility. And there's not a whole lot to be said beyond that. I kind of went through everything already with all his abilities here, so he gets a level 2 for that. We'll move on to his synergies then, and he came out before they started giving out unique synergies, so he doesn't really have anything too special. He's got some crit with Thor, Falcon, Abomination. He's got some crit damage with Doctor Strange. He's actually got a double synergy with Doctor Strange, so if you want to pair these two up, then, I mean, you'll be getting a little bit of extra bonus out of that, but overall, I would say he's got average synergies. There's nothing crazy here, right? And we move on to AQ, and I would say he's actually a level 2 character here. He's got enough damage if you stack up those Fury buffs to be able to get through fights in the amount of time that you need to. You probably won't time out unless you go against a boss or mini-boss. I can't promise that he's going to be good for those fights, but he's going to be good for just general path clearing with his regeneration on his special 3. If you ever get low on health, you save yourself up, you throw that special 3, you get some regen, you save yourself some potions, and you do some damage with those Furies that you get as well. So, level 2 character there. We'll move on to his Alliance War offense ability, and I would say that he's pretty average as far as that goes. I mean, he's not necessarily bad, but I wouldn't say that he's a great option for a lot of the nodes that you'll see in Alliance War when you're on offense, when you're trying to attack. I mean, you could build up those Furies, sure, but it can be a little bit tricky. There's a lot of characters that may be stun immune, or just, I don't know, I would say, can you use him in Alliance War? Yes. Will he be great or good? I don't know. Probably not. He gets a level 1 here. He's average. Moving on to his Alliance War defensive abilities, I would rate him as a level 2 character. Back in the day, I would have rated him at level 3, but people have figured out at this point, for the most part, how to fight against Mordo. And he's still not bad. He can still get a kill every once in a while. If somebody happens to mess up against Mordo, it can be pretty punishing. If you ever find yourself against a Mordo, the way you want to fight him is you either want to avoid stunning him, or if you can, get a concussion or a fatigue debuff onto him, and you want to make sure that you hit him whenever he starts power gaining. And when he does start to build up that power, the AI will go passive and just start to hold block, back off, so that he can build up the power. So if you want to sit back and let him do that, I mean, I guess you can. He's only going to get 1 bar of power out of that. So if he's at a special 2 already, you know he's going to get a special 3. If he's at a special 1, then you know that you're actually pretty safe. So if you just want to sit back, I guess that's okay, because sometimes you can get punished. Sometimes the AI will decide to randomly hit you. Usually what you have to do, though, is throw a heavy attack to get through his block and shut down that power gain. And then in general questing situations, just questing in general, I give Mordo a level 3 rating. I think he's got a lot of utility when it comes to just questing in general. He's got the damage on his Fury buffs, he's got the regeneration if you need it, which is pretty important for questing because you do want to save those potions and revives if you can help it. And yeah, I would say he can back you up with that stun evasion. If you ever do happen to get stunned, I'd say he's a pretty great character, and a lot of the characters in this game are pretty great for questing. So I would say depending on where you are in the game, you may want to think about ranking up Mordo. If you're in that phase where you need to go through maybe Act 4, or maybe Act 5 even, you could rank up this guy to help you just clear some of those tricky paths that you may find yourself on. That'll leave Mordo's total score at 17, and compared to other characters that I've looked at so far, he's the top of the B class. And since it has been a while since I've done these, let me just go ahead and remind you that an S-class hero is somebody I would consider taking to rank 5 as a 5-star, A hero is somebody I would consider taking to rank 4 as a 5-star, a B-class hero is somebody I would consider taking to rank 3 as a 5-star, you could potentially take them to rank 4 as well, and a C-class hero is somebody that is arena fodder, pretty much. Somebody you won't be using all that often, and somebody you probably don't want to take up too high. Every character in this game, though, is totally usable. So Mordo's got good prestige if you want to rank him up for that. I mean, there's lots of reasons to rank Mordo up. Don't let me just tell you what to do. You decide for yourself based on what you see here and what you think of the character yourself.
Who's that champion? It's Blake!
So if you want to go ahead and take a look at this chart here that I put together really quick, these are some of the strengths and weaknesses that Mordo has. He's got those Furies, he's got the Soul Barb, he's got the regen, and he's good, especially against Medusa, say, with the auto block or other matchups where characters are gaining lots of buffs. Weaknesses that he has include characters that reduce ability accuracy with concussion debuffs, and Captain America with his fatigue debuff as well. There are a few other characters that put fatigue up, but Captain America does. And I mean, other than that, it's just the class advantages and disadvantages that he has as a Mystic character, and there's nothing much else to say about him. He's a really, really interesting character. I've got to say that making this video was a lot of fun, and learning about Mordo, things I didn't know about Mordo, was just really interesting. And I think he's a fun character. If you have any questions about Mordo, go ahead and leave those in the comments down below. I'll be happy to help you out. And until I see you next, hang in there. May the RNG be with you, and peace out.